Hi, welcome to our Audio Affair video review of the new KEF Reference 1 flagship bookshelf speaker. Now this was released to replace the original KEF Reference 201/2 speaker and comes right at the top of KEF's bookshelf speaker range. Now that range starts with the KEF Q100 at the end there for $399. Next up is the KEF R100 for $599. Next up is the KEF LS50 for $799, which is a firm favourite among a lot of you. Then there's a big jump from that one to the new KEF Reference 1 at £4,500. Now that's a lot of money, but having said that, it's not a million miles away from the £4,000 for the Reference 201/2 that came before it. And that's quite something considering all the changes KEF have put into this speaker. There's quite a lot of new technologies, various bits and pieces. We're going to go into the differences and talk about a few comparisons in this video. Now, there's quite a lot of changes they've made with this new Reference 1 speaker. KEF have registered all sorts of patents and things, and lots of innovations have gone into this speaker, and lots of things that they claim are unrivaled for a speaker at this level. Now, the first thing to mention is the UniQ driver, and that's in the middle of this mid and treble driver here. Now that is their most famous breakthrough. KEF designed this in 1988. It's now in its 11th generation. And this was actually designed by the same team that bought you the Blade speaker, KEF's £20,000 floor standing speaker. Now this is designed basically to act as a single source to flood the soundstage with a very natural sound. KEF claim that it gives you all the nuances of the human voice. And essentially you've got that in the middle of this driver here, and around that driver you've got what KEF refer to as a segmented Tangerine waveguide. Now you can see on this driver there are little indentations around the driver. Now that serves basically to disperse the treble sound outward, to give you that dispersal of sound in the sound field. And obviously that driver also acts as the mid-range driver, as a radiator for the mid-range. So those two do work very nicely in unison. Underneath that, you've got the bass driver, obviously. Now that's very cleverly stiffened. It's an optimized aluminium dome driver, 165 millimeters in size. Now that material is exceptionally light and strong. Obviously it's designed to deliver very rewarding lows that blend seamlessly with the treble and mid-range here. But what you need to know is really it's so light and so strong that it can move very quickly, and that gives you a very quick, very responsive sound that does sound very good with that UniQ driver. Now separate to that, you've actually got a front baffle here that's been designed to eliminate response abnormalities and things caused by just diffraction. Now there's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo on KEF's website that you can have a good read through. There's even a white paper on the technology that goes into the speaker, but all you really need to know is that KEF have designed all of these drivers themselves. There's no OEM drivers here, and they're all designed to work together. So with the cabinet, the waveguide here and the drivers, they all work seamlessly together, and the result is a very cohesive sound. On the back of the speaker, you've got flexible port technology. Now this debuted actually on the KEF LS50s, and this is KEF's answer to what is quite a complicated issue, which is issues with putting the speakers by the wall, and you can get sort of abnormalities from not being able to adjust the port in the back of the speaker. So on the rear of the speaker, as well as this adjustable port for the bass, you have bi-wireable terminals. Now you can adjust the connection between these with these two little link connectors here on the back. Basically, if you turn these off, you can bi-wire them and the terminals aren't connected, and if you turn them the other way, it connects both sets of terminals, so you can use a standard single wire speaker cable without having to use jumpers. Now that differs to the original KEF Reference 201/2s, which were actually tri-wireable. They didn't have this fancy link system in the middle. They were tri-wireable. So yeah, the new ones are bi-wireable rather than tri-wireable. Are you losing something there? Certainly not. I mean, it doesn't really help to have a speaker being tri-wireable. I mean, we have very few customers who would tri-wire their speakers, and I mean, it's the whole design of the speaker that obviously matters. But an interesting difference there, and obviously really like this new link system on the back of the speaker. It really saves doing anything with fiddly jumpers. So, moving on from all the technical stuff, let's talk about the size of these speakers and the design of them. Because obviously these are a little bit taller than the original KEF reference speakers. They are 440mm high, 205mm wide, and 430mm deep. So these are over a foot deep. But obviously the biggest difference really is in the style of them. Obviously the original KEF reference speaker was this curved design that came back to almost a point on the back with this piece on top. And they've gone from that to a more traditional box design. Now obviously there's a reason for that in terms of the design and the damping of the cabinets and all sorts. They did want to move in this direction for the benefit of the sound of the speaker. But in terms of the style anyway, I really like the new speaker. I think the original one looked fantastic in this curved design, but I think the new one just looks beautiful in these new finishes. Obviously this is the gloss rosewood finish. It also comes in a satin walnut or a gloss black finish. And the important thing to mention really is that these are hand finished and pair matched. Now pair matched basically means that if you buy a pair of these speakers and you've got a wood grain, the wood grain is going to match as closely as possible on each speaker, which is very nice. Now, in addition to those three finishes, it's worth mentioning the floor standing models, the Reference 3 and the Reference 5, also come in what they call a Foundry edition. Now, that's either a black speaker with a copper driver or a white speaker with a blue driver. The floor standing speakers do also have plinth adjustment on the base, so you can adjust the spikes on the base to perfectly level the speakers. With the Reference 1s though, there is a matching speaker stand that KEF have made with integrated cable management in the back. They can be filled, obviously again to adjust the level of bass in your room, but they're perfectly matched to the speakers, and they also have those plinth adjustable spikes at the bottom there, so you can get them perfectly level on your floor. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, bit of a price difference between this new reference and the old reference. These ones are £4,500. These ones were £4,000. But as I mentioned, that was in 2002. So 14 years later, I mean, £500 is a lot of money for a difference. But when you consider 14 years of inflation and all sorts, and all the R&D and the new technology and designs and such that have gone into this new speaker, it's quite remarkable that KEF have done it at that sort of price. I mean, we've seen other reference speakers from other manufacturers, you know, that might have been £4,000 in 2001, suddenly come out now and be like £6,000 or £7,000. So keeping close to that price point is really quite nice. Now, in terms of reviews, we haven't spotted a review for this Reference 1 yet, but the Reference 5 did win the ISA award for the best product. The best high-end product, that is, for 2014 to 2015. So these have made quite a mark on the industry already. Obviously, it's KEF's first reference range since 2002, so it's a pretty big deal. We've got these in store now, ready to listen to alongside the Reference 3s and the Reference 5s, and alongside Blade now as well. So please do come in and have a good listen. Moving on from the style of the speakers, let's talk about what's most important, and that's how they sound. Now, I've had the pleasure of listening to these two speakers side by side for a few days in the store, certainly. We actually didn't have a pair of these, believe it or not, when these came in, but we found a pair of these, or KEF rather, found a pair in their warehouse that we took in from them, just to be able to offer one of the older pairs for a customer, and to be able to do this video comparison. So I've sat down, I've had a really good listen. Now, the original speaker did have a wonderful sound stage to it, very pin precise, very open, vocals were very natural, bass also was very good. I mean, I tested these on a very heavy pair, filled pair of Partington stands, a very good reference level floor, bookshelf speaker. When I listened to these again, I thought, how can they possibly improve on that? I plugged these in though, and boy, they have really improved on them. The first thing and the most significant thing is the bass of these speakers. Now you need careful amplification matching with the new reference ones, because if you're not careful, the bass can almost sort of get out of control a little bit. But with the right amplifier, they sound stunning. I mean, for a bookshelf speaker, you won't believe you're listening to a bookshelf speaker. They've got a really strong bass note, very strong control over the bass, and as I said, it works in perfect harmony with the UniQ driver and the mid-range. You get the same open, airy sound, the same big open soundstage. I mean, I would say the soundstage is more open than the original reference 201/2. And also, to my ears anyway, I think there's a better integration between the bass, the mid-range and the highs. I mean, on this speaker, the bass wasn't as strong and you get the clarity, but I think with this one, they've really nailed it on matching those three levels of sound together. You get just a really cohesive sound. And obviously listening to this one, you think, do I really need the reference threes? I mean, obviously you get more from the reference threes you would expect that you do from a floor standing design, but as a bookshelf speaker, I can't think of anything that we've listened to for £4,500 that comes close to these. Moving on from sound, how do you set these up properly? Well, obviously you need them on a good pair of speaker stands. We've listened to ours today on Partington broadside speaker stands. We also had a pair on the Partington Ultima speaker stands, which are very good. Ideally, you have them on the matching KEF Reference speaker stands. We just didn't have a pair of those in the store at the time. Yeah, you want them on speaker stands, obviously. In terms of how much you tow the speakers in at the front of your room, really it depends on the room, how far you've got them apart. We've got a bit more information on how to set your speakers up on our blog. There's a link down here on the description to that article. And really, it's just a case of moving the speakers around a bit in your room, obviously adjusting the bass port on the back so they match with where you've got them placed. And obviously, if you buy a pair from us and take them home, we'll happily help you on the phone and or by email to discuss how to get them set up properly to get the best sound out of them. Now, in terms of matching systems, what we recommend for these speakers, like I said, you want a good amplification match to get the most out of them. We've been using these with the Arcam A49, which is a cracking out with KEF, £4,000, so a good level match to these. We've also been having a listen to these through the Name Super Unity, the complete system, for about £3,500, which is also a very good match. Also a good match for other Name pre-power combinations. We also had a good listen through a Primaire pre-power combination, the A34.2 and the Pre32. So a few options there. I don't want to confuse any of you out there that might be considering these speakers, but the bottom line is this is what we're here for. You know, if you come in and have a listen to these speakers, we'll show you a few amplifier options depending on what your preferences might be. And we can find something that really suits the sound that you like and that matches with whatever music source you're using, whether that be streaming, CD or vinyl. In terms of accessories for these speakers, obviously we mentioned stands. We recommend you use the KEF Reference matching stands. Obviously system matching is one thing that we can help you with. In terms of cables, we've been listening to these speakers with the Chord signature reference speaker cables. Now that's pretty expensive, about £200 a metre, I believe. Can't remember offhand, but obviously a reference speaker cable, we recommend spending about 10% of cables to what you're spending on the system, and that rule's been around for a long time. It still holds true. You don't want to spend £4,500 on a reference bookshelf speaker and use like a £10 a metre cable. You know, you want to get the most out of them. As well as cables, obviously mentioned stands. You want to obviously have them properly set up, properly leveled. I mean, the standard height of a speaker stand is 2 foot, but basically the rule of thumb is have the tweeter at ear height, and generally for most sofas that'll be about 2 feet high. So just to wrap up, what do we think of the speakers? Again, as I said, fantastic bookshelf speaker. We can't believe KEF have done it for £4,500. I mean, it's a lot of money, but considering the old model was £4,000, I mean, only £500 less than this. Obviously, it's still a lot of money, but for 14 years, we'd think these have cost, you know, £6,000 or £7,000 by now. Obviously, fantastic speaker. We really like it. It's one of our favourites. It's on demo in-store to listen to alongside the Reference 3s, the Reference 5s, the Blades, the LS50s, the R500s, basically pretty much the whole KEF range, apart from their crazy Muon speakers that cost over £100,000 that, frankly, we couldn't fit in our little cosy store here. There's a link in the description so you can have a read about these speakers on the website. A link, obviously, to the finance options you can have a look at as well if you want to consider that, if you're looking at a pair. A link to all the other amplifiers and things that we've talked about in this video. If you've got any questions or any comments, please put it in the comments below. And obviously, if you like the video, please click like. If you like it, obviously click dislike. But give us a comment. Let us know what we can do better in future, because this is a pretty long video. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe.